Welcome to the Love and Meaning podcast. I am your host, Christelle Robinson Tiedemann. I am a life coach and a human design reader, a human design enthusiast. In fact, I am a everything personal development enthusiast. And what I'm all about is the nurturing of the evolved self, and in particular through radical self-responsibility, through compassion for yourself, compassion for others, and through self-discovery. On the Love and Meaning podcast, I share lessons from my own journey with personal development, personal and self-discovery, as well as contemplations that really deepen our personal evolution. What I've been contemplating of late is really around this idea of self-discovery. Human design is one of my most favorite tools for self-discovery, for really getting to know who you truly are, because what I came to realize in my inner work, in my personal development, is a lot of the ways that I behaved, a lot of who I thought I was actually had very little to do with who I was, but rather who I was being. And who I was being was a result of my conditioning through my life experience. So conditioning refers to the influence that our upbringing has on us, and that's from, general society, from parents, from school, from all of the different establishments that are in our life that really have a strong influence on who we are becoming and how we're supposed to be in our lives. And it's really easy to grow up and without a lot of reflection, you just think that the way that you are is just the way that you are. Not really that it came from somewhere. But the way that we are comes from somewhere. Most definitely. That is a multifaceted influence. Of course, there's genetics involved. I believe that we're influenced in every single way possible that you can think of. But what I think when I think back on my own life, my own personal experience, in the past decade of doing inner work, the aspects of myself that I have chosen intentionally to alter, intentionally to evolve, change, better, improve, have been aspects of myself that came from nurture. They came from the examples that I was given growing up and by the actual tangible lessons that I was taught. Maybe I shouldn't say tangible because some of them were inferred, but from the lessons that I was taught by the different agencies that raised me. And so from a conscious stance, from a very intentional place, a lot of the ideas that I had around how life works, how human beings are, how human beings should interact, how I should present myself and how I should behave, were not exactly a perfect match for my true values. And when I established my true values, I had to then learn to operate in a very different way. One of the greatest, most impactful, most positively influential teachings that I learned along the way was human design. Human design is a multifaceted system that basically describes to you your soul's blueprint. So I know that might sound a little out there, a little hairy-fairy, but it basically shows you a body graph, a physical body graph that uses centers similar to that of the chakra system. Most people are actually familiar with the chakra system. And in these different centers, the difference between the chakra system and human design is that there are 9 centers versus 7. And so the chakra system has centers like the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, these kind of things, the crown. Human design is very, very similar with a couple of extra centers. And this body chart demonstrates to you the way that your energy operates in the world. And it might seem like, hey, why does the way that our energy operates in the world really matter? Well, it matters absolutely greatly, because what it tells you is, one, the way that other human beings receive you, like the just without sound, without you saying anything, just your simple presence, the kind of energy that you emit to other human beings, that has an influence, right? Just the way that we feel to other people, it describes that to you. And just having that knowledge of understanding how you just feel on a baseline to other people is huge, is huge, is huge. There's a reason that there's a very, very famous book out there called How to Make Friends and Influence People. Human beings are social creatures, so the way that you're received by other people is huge. So it teaches you how you are received by other people without trying or even doing anything, right? So just at a baseline. And then it also teaches you the best way for you to kind of navigate life, operate in the world, interact with other people that serves you, that gets you to your alignment. Alignment meaning in alignment with what it is that you want, moving in a direction that is aligned with your desired life. And so it really gives you these very beautiful tools, these very beautiful clues, this very beautiful set of awarenesses and ideas to reflect on in terms of just how you are as a human being, that allow for you to show up in your life a lot more intentionally. Showing up in my life a lot more intentionally has been, I mean, it's hard to even put into words, but so wildly impactful in terms of changing the way that my life is. At one point in my life, I literally felt like a ping pong ball on raging seas. That's one of the things that Abraham Hicks says. But I felt like life was happening to me. I no longer feel like life is happening to me. What I feel like is that I create the life of my dreams. And I have full understanding and awareness that there are plenty of aspects of life that I can't not control. But the thing that I do control is how I'm able to react to the non-predictability of life. I feel extremely equipped. I feel extremely skilled. And I feel extremely confident in my ability to navigate life no matter what comes to me. That is not how I used to feel. And that came from personal development, and in particular, self-discovery, understanding me. Basically, human design gives you a map and a blueprint of you. Who are you? Your personality archetype, down to very detailed aspects of your personality, down to the way that your energy is best used. So how do I best contribute to the world, and how do I best receive from the world? How to make decisions. This is a huge one. There is something in human design that's called your authority. Your authority tells you the way that individually you, not across the board, but you, how you were meant to make decisions. Did you know that there was a way that you can make decisions for yourself? A lot of people are under the impression that they are supposed to rely on other people and outside factors in order to make decisions. And that's not the case. You are a decision-making machine. But most of us don't know that. And the reality is that no matter what, even when you ask other people, no matter how unbiased they might be attempting to be, it is literally impossible for someone to give you a fully unbiased answer, an unbiased piece of advice. Even for me as a coach, one of the things that I strongly reflect to my clients is that I can provide you with advice, I can give you guidance, but the decision at the end of the day is ultimately yours. And what I actually am teaching you more than anything else is to be able to take in everything that the universe is sending you, whether that's in the form of my advice or with what's showing up in your life or by what's happening with the people in your life, and be able to come to a decision that is most important, influential, and impactful for you from yourself. to be able to make your own decisions is a priceless skill set in this day and age. And that is one of the things that human design tells you. So there are just endless, priceless benefits to learning human design. And what I want to tell you today is some of the greatest benefits of me learning my own human design. I'm going to go through what those benefits are. I can tell you right off the bat, there are way more than what I'm saying today, so maybe this is a part one kind of situation. But I'm just going to start by telling you some of the major ones, and I promise you, in addition to what I've said, there are more. But we can go into so many different depths with this conversation. But let's just talk about some of the greatest benefits for me that really influenced my life in terms of learning human design. So the first one is a kind of sense of clarification and understanding. Clarity, what a beautiful word. Clarity is a magical gift to have clarity of the mind. And human design clarified the reasons behind a lot of things that have happened in my life. And we've all heard that saying that everything happens for a reason. I am a big you should really check out the last episode before this episode. Check out last week's episode. I go into depths about this idea of there's everything happens for a reason. I have my own personal opinions on that. But I I do believe that everything happens for a reason. Whether I know what that reason is or not is the question, and I don't always know what that reason is, and I don't think I need to know what that reason is all the time. I think that the universe has far more wisdom than me, but it will be revealed to me at some point. Human design gave me an overarching, in general, kind of understanding of this. It really solidified this understanding that I have a destiny. There's something called an incarnation cross that is provided to you in human design, and it really shows you that your soul incarnated here on the planet, in this body, in this life that you're living right now for a reason. And everything that you're experiencing in your life is an accomplishment of this task. And so it really clarified the reason behind a lot of things. There's another thing in human design called your profile, and your profile is basically a personality archetype. And one of those personality archetypes that were for me was something that involved learning a lot through trial and error. When I look back at my life and I see all the trial and erroring I did, it was like a huge sigh of relief to understand that it was all for something. I already had a sense of what those somethings were for because I was doing my inner work, but I can tell you that there are a lot of people who kind of feel like they're just major victims of their life. But when you just take a slight reframe, you start to see that everything in your life that you've been through offers you a lesson. And if you're willing to actually extract what that lesson is, you become a masterful teacher of the world in one way or another. So many different businesses, jobs, professions are really teaching. Even if it's not obvious that it's teaching, it's teaching. And through our life experiences, we become teachers. Sometimes we're teaching simply by our example, simply by the way that we operate in life. And so if you think of every single human being as really a teacher in some way, you realize that everything that you've been through in your life has the potential, if you choose to look at the lesson, extract the lesson, and then operate within the gift of that lesson, you'll start to realize that no matter what it is that you're doing, no matter what area of your life that you're in, no matter what stage of life that you're in, you are teaching somehow by the way that you choose to show up in your life. Sometimes we're teaching by what not to do, right? But if we're truly conscious, we can be teaching what to do. And human design really clarified for me that there's a reason behind it all. And it helped me to see every difficult thing that I've been through as a gift and to extract the endless lessons. This podcast is a result of that. I'm telling you that right now. This podcast is a result of my realization that I am full of lessons, and they are because of human design that I was able to recognize that. Another aspect of learning from my human design is similar to what I was just saying, is this overall larger sense of purpose. And so in terms of learning my incarnation cross and learning my type, I am a projector. That is one of the 5 types of people, humans, in human design. And as a projector, I am a guide for humanity. I'm a teacher and I'm a guide. We're kind of like little gurus. And we were put on the planet to be able to guide the other types toward their destinies. As soon as I learned that, I literally started bawling my eyes out because all I've been doing for as far as I can remember is guiding. A lot of my relationships, a lot of the people that matter the most to me, they rely on me a lot in terms of my guidance. It's just something that I find myself doing quite naturally, and I've been doing this from a very young age. And so when I found out that I'm not just a little Miss Know-It-all, but I'm a projector, and therefore I was built for this, I was made for this, I was created for this, it gave me such a strong sense of purpose. And it immediately, as a secondary benefit, it immediately made me see life in a greater perspective. I became aware of the fact that if I have a purpose, so does everybody else. And so for the tiniest little thing that anybody could be doing in this moment right now, it's influenced in some way by something. And that something might be impactful. So I started to look at life as full of treasures all around me, all human beings, and everything that someone has to contribute, even when it doesn't seem that way. I immediately gained the benefit of wider perspective. And that made me a really beneficial, positive, and influential person to be around, just period. I'm really able to say that quite confidently. Because there is something to be said for a person who makes you think differently than the way that you've always been thinking. And I'm able to do that. And that is a large part in thanks to human design. Another aspect of human design is self-acceptance. Human design gave me self-acceptance. There is a part of me that for most of my life truly thought there was something wrong with me. Truly, I thought there was something wrong with me. I was diagnosed with ADHD at a very young age. If you've listened to any of my older episodes, I've gone into depths about this. But growing up with ADHD and feeling really different than other kids in school and, being received by parents and caregivers as a lot, it really framed the way that I saw myself. And a lot of times the way that I was reflected back to me, the way that I was reflected back to me through other people's eyes was like I was hard work, stupid, just not worth the time. A lot of things that made me feel not great. And it wasn't innately the way that I felt about myself. So I have experienced cognitive dissonance from a really young age. From a really young age, I experienced cognitive dissonance because a part of me really liked me. And another part of me thought I didn't have a lot of value to other people. And it's hard to accept yourself from that perspective. And so, unfortunately, I was heavily influenced by that and unable to, I wasn't in a place of doing personal development work. And so I just kind of accepted that as the way that things are. And I really grew up thinking that I was stupid. I really grew up thinking that I didn't have a lot of value. And I have a lot of value. And so when I learned human design, when I learned that I was a projector and I was a guide for humanity and that I had really inconsistent energy, and so it made perfect sense. In addition to me being ADHD, it made perfect sense how I just really didn't have the capacity to do certain things, especially when I didn't like doing them or they didn't really make sense to me. And then I was so deeply passionate and amazingly creative at other things. And I could be so highly efficient in other times, but it was very rarely recognized because they weren't necessarily in the things that I was supposed to be efficient in, for example, my schoolwork. It gave me an immediate reason for self-acceptance. And I can tell you. Well, I should say this. I was already working on my self-acceptance when I discovered human design because I had already started personal development. I discovered human design about 3 years ago, so that is already about 7 years into my personal development. So I don't want to, I don't want to take away from the work that I already did or make it seem like it's overly easy. Like, I'm not trying to oversimplify this, but I want to say that if you think about it, I've been working on it for 7 years. That's a pretty long time. That's a pretty long time. Human design came along and it was like, shoop, immediately. Accept thyself. I just all of a sudden realized that I am the way that I am for a reason, and it's beautiful. And not only is there nothing wrong with me, but I am special and unique, and I'm here to be of really positive impact to others. It also helped me to, it's kind of impossible to develop self-acceptance and not accept other people. So I immediately became a more compassionate person, which is truly priceless in terms of my overall values, the reason for this podcast, the reason for me becoming a life coach, all of it, everything that I care about, I'm deeply passionate about. My mission is around compassion for the self of others, and self-acceptance is the beginning of that. So what a beautiful gift. Human design also immediately validated my calling. So part of me wants to say that, like, I shouldn't need external validation, and one of the things that I teach consistently is to move away from external validation. I am a huge proponent. I'm a huge advocate for what I like to call sacred selfishness. And it really basically stands for the growth, the impact, the difference, the influence starts with you. It's not about someone else does it and then I do. You do it and then everyone else responds. You start and the world responds. You start and the universe responds. It all starts with us individually. This is why radical self-responsibility means so much to me. And so I do teach the importance of going within and understanding that you don't need external validation to show up and be the person that you're meant to be. But that doesn't mean that when you do get it, that it's not lovely, it doesn't feel good, and you don't say thank you to the source and to the universe. It just means that you didn't need it. So one of the things that human design did was it strongly validated my calling. I already had the inkling. I already found myself in the position of, air quotes, helping others my whole life. I already realized that I had a deep passion for guiding other people. And something happened when I learned human design where I really realized it on a big scale. And I got to give myself permission to fully accept and embrace this huge desire that I had to impact and help people on a large collective scale. Another reach of this, the next level of this, is that validation, it really helped to give me confidence. It is one of the things about projectors, so this is a little bit part of my design, but it's also part of my conditioning. One of the things about projectors is that though we are so projectors are guides for humanity. In order to be guides, we are given this special skill of being able to really see quite clearly for other people. So when someone else is stuck, like I can't see a way out of this, a projector has this beautiful ability to, we'll ask you what's going on and we can just see it. We just can really see clearly, kind of like a map appears, and we can see clearly a way out that is helpful for you. We can kind of see a map, a treasure map towards your desire. So it's set out for you, we can see it. It's kind of like we're given this sight. One of the catches for that, and I say catch because like it's not a trick or anything, but it's kind of like a fail-safe, is projectors are not really able to see themselves in that way. So though we can see clearly for you, we can't really see that clearly for ourselves. And that was put there so that we don't become tyrants. Just being able to see it all can, very easily lead to not ideal situations. So this vision that we're given for other people, we're not given it for ourselves. And in learning my design, even in learning of that, it gave me such confidence. Those feelings that I had where I was meant to guide people, where I was meant to help people, where I just had this inkling that what it is that I have to share is somehow meaningful for other people, for strangers even that I don't know. I knew it, and people reflected it back to me, but there's that little voice that's like, are they just being nice? Are they just being polite? I grew up in a very polite place. I'm from Toronto, and we're a bunch of really polite people. And polite doesn't necessarily mean what you truly feel. It just means what you say to someone's face. And so learning my design really gave me the confidence to understand that no, you do have this gift, and they're not just saying it, they mean it. And so share what you've got to say. Another beneficial aspect of learning my human design is really gaining compassion, curiosity, and understanding for others. Not only does learning your design teach you, so learning your design. In the words you hear, self-discovery. Human design teaches you who you really are. But it's almost impossible to learn who you really are and not realize that everyone else can learn who they really are. Therefore, we are all unique. If I can learn who I am and be blown away by the nuances of myself, doesn't that mean that there are nuances to each person? Yes, it does. And so immediately in the embracing of my own design, I became extremely aware of what human design calls the science of differentiation. Differentiation. We are all different. And that difference between us, that differentiation between us is the magic. We are all part of this huge puzzle, and we play a role. We all have our piece, and it's not complete without each of us playing our role. So it is our duty to truly discover who we are so that we can fill our role on the planet. And so in learning my design, I became extremely compassionate, curious, and understanding of other people's individual designs and who they are meant to be. And I no longer strived for this feeling that I think I spent a lot of my life looking for, and that is to be understood by others. I no longer value so much to be understood by others. Though when it does happen, it's so beautiful and I appreciate it and I value it and I cherish it. More a bonus. Needing to be understood by everyone is super futile. Because everyone feels like the need to be understood. Like everyone feels the need to be understood. And in our desire to be understood, it makes us very egocentric and unable to look outside of our own personal experience. Therefore, in the desire to be understood, I am often not understanding. Human design allowed me to be more understanding. And that didn't necessarily lead to lead to me being more understood, but it definitely led to me not needing to be as understood. And therefore I felt more understood. So what a beautiful overall gift. Sometimes when we really go deep into our personal development, we realize that some of the things that we've been striving for and some of the questions that we wanted answered no longer are questions, because something much greater kind of eclipses the need. It becomes so primitive and inferior to a much greater existence. Human design, another aspect, human design gave me a context for my misalignment. Human design taught me where I was out of alignment. Alignment means everything to me. So I'm a huge proponent of the law of attraction. The law of attraction changed my life. Abraham Hicks was one of my first teachers in terms of personal development, and I think they're brilliant. And in learning the law of attraction, I understood that what I'm going for in life, what is going to bring me what it is that I want out of life, is alignment. And a very simple way of kind of understanding, I guess it's not that simple, but of explaining what alignment means, it means that the frequency that I'm vibrating on matches the frequency of what I want. So therefore we will just be attracted to each other. So what I want, I'm in the vibration of, and so what I want out there will be attracted to me. Human design gave me a very specific sign for when I'm not in that alignment. For me, that sign is bitterness. Another word for that is kind of like resentment. And I have this kind of tendency, or like, like I just kind of have, it's just something that I fall into easily when I'm out of alignment. And it's this kind of bitter feeling of like, I'm doing this and they aren't. And where it plays out the most is in my relationship, my romantic relationship. And it's been so impactful for me to understand that that is my sign of misalignment, because what I used to think was that these feelings of kind of like resentment or bitterness, the proper word is bitterness, I thought that they were actually based in reality. And so then I would look for the source of the problem, and therefore I would be very nitpicky of people. And the truth is, it's just a sign for me that I'm out of alignment. And so it has been so impactful in me being a much better contributor to the environment that I'm in, to the relationships that I'm in. And it has given me a context for greater personal responsibility, because I know the sign for when I'm off. On the flip side, it also provides me with a context for my ambition. I have always felt so ambitious in my life. I've always felt like I wanted so much, but because of my conditioning, I never really went for it. I felt really held back. I felt really afraid of making mistakes, which is so hilarious because part of my design is to make tons of mistakes and to learn from them up until the age of 30. And I freaking did. But I also, because of my conditioning, was made to feel very ashamed of those mistakes and very wrong for those mistakes. So the overarching lesson that I took away is that I'm deeply wrong and flawed, rather than this is your experimental phase and you're going to come out of this with a bunch of lessons. You're going to hit 30 and skyrocket, baby. What did you learn? Let us all know. That is not what I thought it was. It wasn't until I was well into my 30s and I learned human design, and I was really suggested that that was a much better perspective on the things that I had been through, that I put myself through. And so this ambition that I kind of felt all the time, this sense of knowing that I was supposed to be something, that I had something great to offer this world, it came into the light. It really felt like it was shined upon, given a halo, and, risen into, levitated into the air. As soon as I learned my design, I was like, oh, like I am not bananas. I am not grandiose. I truly knew that this is what was meant for me. And the reason is because the opposite of what I was saying, where I have this misalignment clue, this misalignment indicator for my type, which was bitterness. I also have an alignment indicator for my type. And for projectors, that alignment indicator, that demonstration, that feeling that shows me that I'm in alignment is success. Another way of saying your indicator of alignment is saying mode of fulfillment. So my type feels fulfilled through success. And so this explains this ambition that I have, this drive that I have. And I have very strong expectations for myself in terms of success. And they feel actually really motivating and exciting. And before, they felt kind of disheartening and annoying and heavy and overwhelming because I didn't really have any understanding that I could achieve them. I just kind of had these consistent niggling feelings. And now I have an understanding that, like, it's my destiny. And so I'm more motivated to just find the way. And so these are some of my most favorite aspects of how human design has been deeply impactful in my life. If you guys are interested in a human design reading, understanding your type, and a lot of these different things that I have mentioned, book a human design reading with me. The link to book is in the show notes. It's also available in the bio of my Instagram. My Instagram can be found at Coaching with Cree. That's my handle. And also on my YouTube page at Coaching with Cree. You can find the link there. And I offer different types of reading. I just offered a brief aura reading, which really teaches you about the way that other people receive you. And then a full human design reading, which is what I definitely recommend to most people because it will give you practical steps to walk away and immediately start operating in a different way in your life that is highly beneficial for you. It really will have you walking in your life in a way where things just seem to work out much better. You have a greater understanding of other people around you and the way that you operate with them. So if you would like a human design reading, go ahead and book that. And it would be my pleasure to teach you and explain to you exactly the way that you were designed and the beauty and the strengths of that. If you would also like to have more of a one-on-one experience in terms of implementing, so let's say you got a human design reading and then you want to implement and walk in your design, really learn how to operate from this place of your design. I have one-on-one coaching for that. And you can get as little as one session at a time, or you can book a month session, or you can book up to 3 months of sessions. And the value of it, you really get to save as you book more sessions. But I also offer a 20-minute clarity call so that we can really get to know what your goals are before we get started. So it could be really helpful to start with a 20-minute clarity call and then jump into sessions. It has been so beneficial to me, my own life experience, in terms of learning my human design, having a reading done, and then having one-on-one help in terms of implementing it. So impactful. And now I'm in a place where I'm continuously discovering more and more and more about my design. And so if that's something that's of interest to you, I highly recommend that you reach out. Hope that you do. And also, if you want to like talk about this further, you want to ask questions, you want to deepen this, come and hang out with me on Friday, 6 p.m. EST on my YouTube page at Coaching with Cree. And we talk about the different topics of the Love and Meaning podcast. It's called Friday Night Live Dive. Every Friday, 6 p.m. EST, we go live and we deepen the different concepts. So if you want to get into how human design has been helpful to me, and how it could potentially be helpful to you, come and hang out with me on Friday. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.